The Korea Africa Foundation has selected a special group of supporters to better promote its efforts to bolster partnership with countries in Africa. So on Issues and Insiders today, we meet with two of these supporters for their thoughts and more. Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Issues and Insiders. I'm Min Sunhee. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with two supporters of the Korea Africa Foundation ahead of the summit between Korea and Africa next month. For this, I have Lee Sehee here in the studio. Sehee, welcome to the program.
Hello, it's my glad to meet you here.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. I also have Wera Joshua Ochieng from Kenya in the studio. Joshua, it's a pleasure. Karibu.
Asante sana. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Right. Yeah. Joshua, let's begin then with some information about the supporters of the Korea Africa Foundation. Who are they? What are their roles? How are they selected?
Well, okay. So to start with, this is a program that is specifically sponsored by the Korea Africa Foundation. So what they do is they invite members of the Korean public and members of African community that lives in Korea to be able to produce some content through card news and videos. These contents go ahead to promote the sort of relationship that exists between Korea and African countries. And this happens through different stages. First, they make an announcement that they need supporters to apply. And after that, we are taken through interviews. And this year, we have a total of 25 supporters. That's 20 Koreans and 5 Africans. And this year, we are going to run the program from February to July, and there's more. We do get monthly support to be able to produce the contents that we produce. And at the end of the program, the foundation chooses 2 individuals with outstanding activities, and they sponsor their trip to Africa for maybe produce more content, or just for research-based, if they want to engage in any sort of research on the African continent at a personal level. So it's a really great program, and it goes a long way to promote the relationship between Korea and Africa.
Right, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And say, what was your reason to apply for the post of supporter?
There's a Korean proverb that says a picture is worth than 1,000 words, as you know it. Yeah, anyone who has traveled country in Africa knows how little we've been seen of the continent. Actually, we almost think about the poverty, aid, nature, and safari are the keywords when you think of the Africa. However, Africa is a continent with countless attractions, I think. Africa is the second largest continent in the world, home to over 1.2 billion people and 55 countries, so various cultures and ethnic groups are the coexistence in the continent. Africa is unfamiliar and inaccessible to the Korean, which is that think about the due to relative lack of the information. I also have perception that Africa is unfamiliar too. To overcome this, I traveled a lot in Africa, as you know, the Egypt and Morocco and Tanzania, and interactive with various experience and Africa youth. And I'm interacted with many of the African youth from the programs and some community school clubs or the other activities. Through these experiences, I realized how many prejudices and misconceptions that are about the Africa. So I want to show vibrant, changing, and developed Africa, not a misinformed and a narrow-minded one. I also want to work with some of the other supporters to learn more about the Africa. As you know, the KAF supporters are very know about the Africa very well, and they are interested in Africa also. So through this sharing the various of the attractions of Africa and having meaningful discussions, I expected that a young person, I could take a lead in the realizing public diplomacy that contributes to improve Korea and Africa's relations. That's why the reason that I joined the supporters.
Right, good to know, Say. Joshua, like I mentioned at the start of the program, you are from East Africa, Kenya to be exact.
Correct.
What brought you here to Korea?
Well, I think my journey to Korea goes back, it's connected to my childhood dream. When I was little, maybe around 10 years old, I already got interested in doing my studies outside Kenya. But I wasn't really specific about Korea. I just wanted to, get a chance to study outside Kenya, because around the district where I lived, there were a couple of individuals that were already studying in other countries, and they would come back with their friends, their foreign friends. One was from Europe. So I was like, oh, this is quite interesting. It's kind of an interesting way to be able to live here and be able to study in another country. But then as I got older, I realized that the default option for Kenyans who want to study abroad is always the US, Canada, UK, or Australia. Like Kenyans who dream about studying outside Kenya, they always go to those countries, like 80% of them. So I was like, I need to find an alternative. I don't want to go the default route, And then I narrowed down to the East. So I was considering Japan, Korea, and China. But then as I got to do my little research about these countries, I realized that Korean language was a little bit easier to grasp, the writing part, at least the writing part.
As compared to Japanese?
As compared to Japanese and Chinese. Chinese was a bit hard in terms of pronunciation, so I gave it up right away. So I was narrowing down between Japan and Korea. And I think I got hooked more into Korean because I enjoyed the writing and tried to read what I write, even though I didn't know what it could mean. But then as that continued, I did get a chance to come for vocational training in Korea for 1 year in 2013. I spent 10 months in Korea. And during that time, I got to see more about the Korean media. At that time, I got interested in photography as well. So I was slowly getting into the media. And I saw how big the media industry was here. They have some really good media schools here. So I was like, I have to come back to study film, because now this is like a new interest connected to photography, which I was doing. So I came here for that, as a long story, yeah. So I came here to study, to put it in a nutshell.
And essentially, you earned your bachelor's degree in film.
Yes, I did. Oh, from Korea National University of Arts. I really love that school. It's good that I could give them a shout out. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
I see. Meanwhile, as you mentioned earlier, Korea and Africa, these two places have yet to establish active people-to-people exchanges. What do you believe would be the gains of such interactions?
There's so many reasons for this, but I like to focus on first ever Korea summit this June. The beginning of Korea relationship dates back to the period of the Korean War in the 1950s. When Korea faced a difficult time during the war, African countries extended a helping hand. Moreover, the establishment of the Korean Africa Foundation, as you know, we are here, under the Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 2018, has fostered the private level exchanges. Through these efforts, Korea and Africa have been more expanding their pragmatic cooperation in diverse fields such as the trade, investment, infrastructures, and minerals, and digitals, technologies, and us. As this year marks the first year of the Africa Summit based on Korea's vision to be a GPS and the AU's vision for the Agenda 2063, Africa and Korea will work toward the establishing a multiply that future-oriented strategic partnership. Especially Korea's unique growth trajectory holds a great appeal for the African countries, while Africa's vibrant dynamism as a continent, brimming with youthful potentials in anticipating invigorate Korea's own growth. The first ever Korea-Africa Summit in 2024 will mark a crucial turning point of Korea and Africa's relationship. Based on this, Korea and Africa will together as an equal partner to build a future and share the growth, sustainability, and solidarity, I think.
Right, I'll keep my fingers crossed for that as well. And in the meantime then, Joshua, what is the general perception of Korea in Kenya, in Africa, as a continent as well?
I think Kenya kind of pretty much, what goes on in Kenya is almost similar with the other countries in the sub-Saharan region of Africa. And from what I do know as a Kenyan is that we do have a pretty favorable opinion about Koreans, thanks to wonderful electronics that Korea makes and sells in the African market. Samsung, LG, all these companies, they have even regional offices in Kenya. So we are used to seeing and using Korean gadgets. So our opinion of Koreans is they make great gadgets and they make great music, they make great films. So we know about them. And my journey in Korea until now, it's been 10 years, right? So the first time I came to Korea, there were not much, let's say, full-blown knowledge about Korea or Korean-related communities or schools in Kenya. But 10 years later, now we have Korean language departments in some of the top universities in Kenya, the University of Nairobi, KU, Kenyatta University, and other small colleges. We also have Kenya K-pop community, which last year I was able to meet and attend their event. They are blooming, and they were not there 10 years ago. So in a span of 10 years, I think I've seen how the love for Korea has moved from just appreciating the good gadgets that you make, but also to consuming your media contents, and also creating schools. And now we have dancers in Kenya who are trying to build their career as dancers who are doing styles that are inspired by Korean music. I think that's great. Yeah, we do have pretty favorable opinion about Koreans.
That is great to know.
Yeah.
Say, do share with us some of the efforts being made by the Korea Africa Foundation to perhaps raise greater awareness about the merits of Africa as well.
I put a lot of the works in the contents, but I like to showcase in the Africa Week 2024. Yeah, we are going to participating in the performance as a team activity during the Africa Week at Sabit Island, Bampo River Park on Saturday, May 25 at 6 p.m. Are you joining us?
Hopefully I'll be at Bampo then.
Thank you. The name of show is African Rhythm and Passion Anyapo. Do you know Anyapo? The Anyapo means let's play together in the language of the Malinke people of the West Africa. Yeah, the shows invite the audience into the performance to play with the djembe and dance with the dancers. We want our team to part of this free and powerful celebration and feel the Africa as soul. Yeah, we are very excited about the opportunity to experience the Africa culture, which is not that easily inaccessible in Korea. And we hope spread the harmony of coexistence through this improved tapping, dancing and singing, and build the rhythms through the communication and empathy.
Right,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, Joshua, it's really quite hard to access African culture here in Korea. And that being said, what can you tell us perhaps about the tangible merits of Kenya?
Merits of Kenya. Do you know, before I answer that question, I just realized that when Korean government back in 1964, when they were considering opening their first diplomatic mission in the sub-Saharan region of Africa, they went ahead and established it in Kenya. So that tells us that even back then, the Korean government saw Kenya as a country of strategic importance. And the same importance that existed then exists now, and there is more. Now, Kenyans, we are known for having some of the best agricultural products. We are best in athletics, as you've probably known. And we have a youth that are very innovative. We've been known in sectors like let's say innovations on mobile applications. Recently, M-Pesa, which was a mobile money transfer app, that was done in Kenya. It's a Kenyan product, and it's one of those merits in technology that we can single out on the Kenyan point. But now, moving forward, I think if we want to explore this journey of exchange, beneficial exchange between Korea and Kenya, I think we need to kind of add more layers to the way we cooperate between Kenya and Korea. It's been business and it's been education for most, but moving forward, I think we can have more sports exchange, we can have more artistic exchange, so that common people, ordinary people can be able to enjoy the diverse cultures that exist between both sides. So Kenya will give the best that they have. Korea is already giving the best that they have, but through well-oiled cultural exchange, I think Korea will be able to discover so much about the vibrancy of the Kenyan youth and the country in general.
Right,
we have so much to give.
Right, and speaking about the Kenyan youth, generally then say, what do you believe is the importance, that is, of having greater youth participation in promoting stronger ties between Korea and Kenya, and of course Korea and Africa as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely. Africa is called a continent with a young future, with 60% of the population is under 25 age. Yeah, therefore, the continuous exchange of the young people from Africa with our youth will help to strengthen the relationship between Korea and Africa. In April, I participated in a program, Youth Going to Africa, a program on the Korean National Diplomatic Academy. I was able to learn about the political and economic situation of the Africa and the examples of the youth startup at the Africa. Also, I saw the program called 세바시, which means that 15 minutes can change the world. Yeah, the program featured the young people who are finding their future in the Africa. Through this program, I learned about the young people who are challenging at the Africa and the various fields of them, including the opera contemporary dance. It is that combines the traditional dance and the modern dance. Also the startups and the YouTubes, the photographers, and some kind of the cosmetics. I was very impressed about that because they say the only first-hand experience is basis for unwavering confidence. Yeah, in this way, in order to furthermore these relationships between Africa and Korea, I think it is important to expand support for young people to improve their understanding and Africa more going there and opportunities for the challenging themselves with patience.
Right. Joshua, earlier on,
Yeah.
you mentioned a couple of these upcoming events by the Korea Africa Foundation.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit more about some of the planned agendas for this coming weekend?
Yeah, there's a lot. I think this month long, it's been a lot of African subject on the air. And, there's the Korea Africa Summit coming next month in the first week. And this week, all week long, we've had what we call the Africa Week in Korea. And it's been a series of events which will culminate to this perfect location on the Hangang next to Banpo Bridge. So we will have a podium right there. And just like as the sun is setting down and the Hangang is looking so beautiful with the sunset going down, they will have some music performances over there. And then that will be followed by a screening of a special film from Zimbabwe. The title is Cook Off. And the film captures this authentic family spirit of Africa. So you'll be able to feel, it's about the good vibes, kind of be thrown into the story of, African family, positive drama, and, no bad influences. As just with the feeling of Hangang, I think it's going to be the perfect backdrop. So if you have time this Friday and Saturday, you should really check it out. And it's, again, sponsored by Korea Africa Foundation. And it's one of those activities that promotes the relationship that we are beginning to build and make it stronger between Korea and Africa.
Right, for sure. Say, as Joshua mentioned, in June, we have the Korea Africa Summit, which you talked about earlier as well. What are your hopes for this upcoming summit?
The theme and expectation of this summit is the future we make together. Shared growth, sustainability, and solidarity. As you know, the slogan of the summit is that fostering shared growth and enhancing cooperation and solidarity for sustainable future, which Africa through hosting the first summit, which root from the Korea's development experience. As supporters, the team, at the Korea Summit on the June 4, we will be at the hosting a booth with the international organization GGGI to showcase the university students' work on the Africa. We will showcase content created by our supporters. We will introduce content on a variety of topics, including the Kenya Coffee and the Makerere University and the Teenage Hockey Association. So please look forward to our activities of the supporters at the Africa Summit.
Right, coming up next month then.
Oh, yeah.
Joshua, very briefly speaking, what are some of your plans as a supporter of the Korea Africa Foundation?
Well, our mandate is running out very soon. In July, we are supposed to wrap up. But as I did mention at the beginning, out of the 25 participants, the best 2 will be selected and funded to go to Africa. So if I do make it among the best 2, I do hope that I will be able to get a chance to go to Kenya to film a part of a series I've been filming since last year. And so that's my main goal as in the final days of the supporters program. And when I go to Kenya, I want to team up with a friend of mine, an artist friend called Victor Mwangi. We will do a series of mural and documentary style project over there. And hopefully we will come to Seoul to do another mural that connects to what we will do in Kenya with another creative team in Ulji called Ulji Space. So that's basically what I'm on right now. And I'm looking forward to wrapping up this program in the most positive way. It's been fun. I've met really interesting Koreans who are interested in Africa and are putting out really authentic, meaningful stories about the relationship that we are exploring between Korea and Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
And say, very briefly speaking, what are some of your plans?
Yeah, while, as you know, I was working at the African Film Festival's tab in the May, I realized the endless possibilities of the Africa. I think the era of the emerging African movie, which I called A movie, has arrived. And I'm excited to see the future developments as the African creative media of various genres. It was refreshing and interesting to see the variety of genres represented in Africa films, both traditional and contemporary and social issues.
Right.
Therefore, I'm planning to explore more about African cinema and media.
And I'll keep my fingers crossed for that. Best of luck with that.
Thank you.
All right, Say, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. And Joshua, thank you very much for your insights today.
Thank you very much.
Right, well, that is all the time we have for this edition of Issues and Insiders. Thank you for watching. See you same time tomorrow.